we wanted to do this event to highlight you all and to also educate everybody on this call and anybody that is going to be watching this recording about a unique way to get involved. Obviously, if you've given to the Sequoia Parks Conservancy before, maybe you've done that through ACH debit credit, maybe you've written a check, maybe you've done a wire transfer. All of that is fantastic, or even other organizations that you support. Maybe that's the typical way that you've given. At Overflow, we're really, really passionate about helping unlock other channels to really inspire generosity. And one white space we kind of saw in philanthropy was non-cash assets. The world has been changing for the last decade, and more people from all generations are starting to diversify their net worth and everything that they've been blessed with and they've been able to gain in life. They're starting to diversify that into not just their checking and savings, right? They're diversifying it into the stock market. They're diversifying it into vehicles like ETFs. All the rage now is cryptocurrency, right? There's so many different ways that people of all generations now are actually holding and hosting their wealth. But what's interesting is that the nonprofit space at large and fundraisers exclusively, typically, fundraise in ACH debit credit, even though the world continues to shift and change. And so our passion is to help educate that you don't have to just give from your checking account that you probably also pay your rent in and have daily expenses with. But another place to consider is your stock portfolio, ETFs, these non-cash assets. And really why we're so passionate about this is number one, we see that when people have this revelation that they can give from, this area within their portfolio, they're typically empowered to be a lot more generous. So, a stat that we found not too long ago is that through PayPal, the average donation in America through PayPal is $128. The average donation through Overflow today is $6,031. And that's just simply because people really have their Overflow account in their stock portfolio. That's kind of where they have a little bit more abundance, not so much daily pressure of expenses, and really an understanding of, oh, if I can now give from that portfolio and I can do so easily, it inspires people to do so. In addition to that, it is the most tax advantageous way to donate, which is really cool. It's really cool for us to be able to educate more and more people that maybe didn't know this before, that when you actually donate shares, especially if you've held it for at least a year, let's say you've held Apple stock or Google stock or Facebook stock. It doesn't have to be tech stock. It could be a Vanguard ETF, whatever that portfolio might be. You're going to be faced with capital gains tax whenever you realize, the gains on that portfolio, which today long-term capital gains tax is 20%. You combine that with California state tax, that can be up to maybe 37%, right? And so for easy math, if you're seeing gains in your portfolio of $10,000, when you realize that, you'll see $6,000. And if you wanted to give before, a technology like Overflow existed, you would sell that stock, get the $6,000 and then give. What that would mean is that when you gave, the charitable tax deduction you can claim is $6,000, and the conservancy gets $6,000. But through Overflow, because we allow you to donate the stock directly, those $10,000 in gains, you can actually give directly to the conservancy. And when the conservancy liquidates the stock and realizes it into cash to be able to do and deploy that capital to the work that they're doing, they actually get the full value of the $10,000, because as a 501c3 tax exempt organization, they're not subject to that capital gains. You also, as a donor, get to realize a $10,000 charitable tax deduction instead of 6,000. So it's really a win-win situation. Here's the kicker. Here's the secret that they don't want you to know. You can also, if you were planning to give cash anyways, but you decided to give stock instead, you can actually take the cash that you have on hand now, and if you liked that stock that you gave, you can rebuy back that stock in your portfolio at the new cost basis, so that if you are fortunate to see gains in that stock again, your capital gains tax is then minimized, which is really, really cool. A lot of sophisticated investors actually do this. It's called rebalancing. And to do it while also being able to be philanthropic is kind of a triple threat in philanthropy, I guess. And so that's super cool that we get to educate people about that. I've literally had many, many people write in and tell me how it's been awesome for them to do well by doing good. And that's what we're all about here at Overflow. And so that's what we have partnered with in terms of working with Sequoia Parks Conservancy. If you go to their website right now, you would see a easy button. We call it the easy button for you to be able to donate stock and to be able to help us raise, for this night, $5,000 to protect 15 sequoias. I'm going to pause there. Are there any questions? I threw a lot of information about taxes, about stock, about things like that. Is there any questions that I can help answer before we kind of go forward? Because I know Alicia is excited to also just demo how easy it is. And if you have questions, you can just unmute and ask them. Joe, he might be trying to unmute, I think, or maybe not. No. Okay, cool. I did that good of a job. Everybody understood. I love it. I
Hi,
love
this
it.
is Tamara. I have a
Yeah,
question
yeah,
that Lou actually put to me yesterday,
yeah.
and I didn't necessarily have an answer or want to speak for you guys. But who would you say is your demographic? Are you targeting all audiences in people that have stock portfolios, or do you feel like you're seeing more activity from a younger demographic?
Yeah, that's a really great question. I mean, we're early on, but we do see activity from all generations and all types of gifts, right? Like I said, our average donation size is 6,031, but the range is really, really large. We see everything from one share of Uber, which is the value of $40 right now being given on a regular basis. And the other day we saw a $250,000 gift from a Vanguard account, right? And so the range is large and we do serve every demographic. I would say more than a demographic, we appeal to people that have stock portfolios and that are sitting on gains. They're fortunate enough to sit on significant gains that have now realized it's super easy to do this through the click of a button. Before Overflow, what you would have to do is you would have to coordinate with your broker, or you would need to fill out several forms. You would need to fax it in. And so it wasn't impossible, but it did require a lot of back and forth between the nonprofit and the donor. And so generally, every single generation, I think because of Amazon, wants the convenience of being able to do it with the click of a button. But great question. Yeah, Lou.
And that
Well,
was a great answer.
Yeah.
it seems to me that all the examples that you've given are pointing to a younger audience, which is very interesting for us
Yes.
because a lot of people my age, in my age bracket, really do not own individual stocks. We've been, you know, going with very conservative mutual funds generally at this age.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anybody, I think, over age 50 is often looking at very conservative uh, funds that don't necessarily have huge capital gains
Yeah.
and tend to be more conservative. What I was wondering is what kind of activity do you have on your site in addition to our site that might incentivize somebody in Silicon Valley or here in Silicon Beach to give some game stock that has gone crazy. I mean, that's basically what we have here, computer games up to the
Yeah.
up to the top of our heads. How are we touching them? Can you
Yeah.
add? Can you multiply our effort?
Yeah, we love being considered one of the most strategic partners over time with our customers because our aim is to continue to unlock net new value for our customers. And so simply putting a button on a website is not going to move the needle, right? It's really honestly partnering with Tamara, Savannah, the board, Lou,
Mm-hmm.
to continue to figure out other channels like this and others in which you guys are continuing to educate your supporter base on this, new way to give. And so we support in terms of providing, for example, social media assets, providing assets for email newsletters. And, Alicia, this is her passion. She loves working directly with our nonprofit team to make sure that we are aligned on every single campaign, every single newsletter, and we're providing the information that you all need to continue to spread the word about this. Like I said, for Overflow, while we do unlock some volume, it's not necessarily a volume game. We're kind of maybe lower volume than a PayPal, but super high value, right? So it just takes those 50 people within your supporter base to get this revelation about stock donations to really move the needle, right, for the cause.
I have a question.
Yeah, Deb.
Debbie has a question, and it kind of piggybacks on the back of this, of Lou's question. Is your audience that you're targeting only individuals, or are you looking at businesses or corporations as well, other entities?
Yes,
They have bigger buckets to
yeah,
donate.
they got some big buckets for sure.
Yeah.
That's a really great question. So we do both, and we do it in a really cool way. So obviously, our hero is the nonprofits. We directly and primarily focus on organizations like Sequoia Parks Conservancy. But how we continue to provide additional value to organizations like Sequoia is we partner with corporations, specifically high growth tech corporations like Twilio, Salesforce, Google, Facebook, Airbnb, DoorDash. And we serve their employees to make it super easy for their employees to find nonprofits that they're passionate about and to donate some of their stocks towards those nonprofits. So
So
we
that
act,
was
yeah.
that was exactly my question. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. That was the tag
I
team
wanted
of,
to
of
know
Lou
if
and
there
Deb.
was,
Yeah.
if you propose a list of donation destinations to people.
Yeah. So because SPC is one of we call our preferred partners because they have a subscription with us, they're prioritized as we talk to these corporations, right? Which is really, really cool. The Overflow for Corporations product is still in early stages, but for example, right now we literally have an open initiative with Twilio, and we've been seeing dozens and dozens of Twilio stock getting donated to our partners. And so as we deepen our relationships with organizations like SPC, we hope to continue to provide value in that way as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. Great question, Lou. Awesome. So let's go over to Alicia so she can quickly show, and this is recorded as well, so it can be shared later, how easy it is to donate through Overflow.
All right. Can everyone hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yes.
Okay. Can everyone see my screen?
Not
Yes.
So this is Sequoia Parks Conservancy home screen. You'll notice a few things, this awesome view of these sequoias, and also donate stock with Overflow. So I'm going to take you through clicking into the button, and then since I do not want to share my own brokerage account to you all at this moment, I'm going to move in a demo environment, but but you'll get the idea of it. So how this works is you click into this button, and this takes you to the Overflow interface. So what this looks like I'm now in the demo environment, it's the same exact thing. So there are two things that donor can do. The most common is to connect their account, their brokerage account automatically. We do that through Plaid. So that part sits on top of Plaid. But sometimes donors would prefer to just add their stocks manually, so they can do that if for whatever reason they'd rather not use Plaid as a system. But just for brevity purposes, I am going to continue with Plaid. And then here we go. So really, yep.
Alicia, who runs Plaid?
Who runs Plaid? Kyle,
So
who runs Plaid?
Plaid, like
Their own
who?
company.
Yeah, Plaid is its own company. So they actually got acquired by Visa, but because that partnership was too powerful, antitrust said no. And so Plaid is on its way to become a public company now on their own.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so submitted, it's now getting my credentials. And then this is pulling up all of my accounts within Fidelity. So I can choose, let's say, where I want to donate from. So let's say I want to donate from my Plaid 401k. So we ask a couple questions that are pretty important when doing any sort of stock transfer. This helps us asking these questions upfront to donors helps us make the process really seamless moving forward. So does the account you're donating from have a co-owner? If it does have a co-owner, we are asking for the co-owner's signature as well, which is needed. But for this, it does not. If the shares you want to donate are an RSU or stock option from your company, obviously with RSUs, you could only donate during certain times. So we want to make sure that that's available for a donation, but I'm going to say no. All right. And then we have the beautiful, I don't know, I like to say grocery store of stocks, but we can see all of the shares that me as a donor, all that I have in my portfolio, which is exciting because this may surprise some donors. And it's kind of like a shopping cart experience when you're like, I'm going to take a little bit of Apple, right? Let's say I want to take 20 of Apple because I have 120 shares. I'm feeling generous. Let's say I want to take 1 share of Amazon. And then we have some Microsoft and we have a bunch. So I'm going to take 12 of Microsoft. So move down here. So it totals them up. This is an approximation. And then I'm able to select how I want the stocks to be taken out. First in, first out is usually the default. All right, then it's just a quick, adding my basic contact information. I'm just so used to adding that. Here is my phone number in case you all ever need to call me.
That's for donor support purposes.
Yes, and then just putting this, I am moving out shortly, unfortunately, and CA 94123. Have my basic info. I'm going to move this all the way down here. Then I will say that the donor does have the option to keep themselves anonymous. I would say probably about 98% of the donors that come through our platform do not keep themselves anonymous. They like being recognized, I think, for their contributions. Then I would just re-add my account number here, whichever it was, and then next, just a quick signature. There. And then let's see, I can review my transfer. Like this. We see what it was, me, all this information is correct. This is what I wanted to donate. This is the approximate value of the donation. Thank you for your generosity. The donor then will get a quick receipt with the transaction ID number, an approximate value of their donation. That is not the charitable acknowledgement letter, but it's just a quick receipt that they have to show them that they did donate. So they have that. And then later on, when you do receive the charitable, the gift, then within the nonprofit dashboard that I've walked through with Tamara on, you are able to then confirm the stock receipt and then send out the charitable acknowledgement letter, the official one, to the donor when the time is right. All right, so that is how it's done. Pretty quick. I talked a lot during that, so it took longer, but normally it takes a donor like 2 minutes to do, unless they get really excited about all the stocks that they have and start picking and choosing. But yeah, so that is the Overflow platform. That's really how easy it is to donate. Any questions from me? Thank you all so much for joining for these last 15 minutes.